Okay, hi ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going now to talk about an analysis of a certain poem known as The Smiling Orphan. The Smiling Orphan. This poem, of course, is made up of about 11 stanzas. 11 stanzas. So let me recite the poem first before I talk about the other steps of poetry analysis. This poem here reads as follows. And this poem is titled as The Smiling Orphan. The Smiling Orphan, and it was composed by a teacher from Uganda who is Grace Birabwa Isharaza. Grace Birabwa Isharaza. Let me recite the poem direct. And this poem, of course, was written for the purpose of her auntie Laheli Nansubuga, who died in her absence. And she says, the first stanza, and when she passed away, they came, kinsmen came, friends came, everybody came to mourn her. Second stanza, hospitalized for 5 months, the ward was her world, fellow patients her compatriots, the meager hospital supply her diet. Third, when she was dying, her son was on official duty. The state demanded his services. Her only daughter, uneducated, sat by her, crying, praying, waiting for an answer from God far above. Wishing she spoke the languages figures in white coats do understand. They matched, the figures did, stiff, numb, and deaf to the cries and wishes of her dying mother. As she was dying, friends and kinsmen talked of her, how good, how helpful, a very practical woman. None reached her. They were too busy. There was no money. Who would look after their homes? Was it so crucial, their presence? So here there are 2 rhetorical questions which are asked. And remember, rhetorical questions, they are normally asked purposely. They are not asked to get their answers, but their answers are well known. That's why I said, who would look after their homes? Was it so crucial, their presence? All of this do not need an answer. So here, but when she passed away, they came, kinsmen came, friends hired cars to come, neighbors gathered to mourn her. They ought to be there for the funeral, so they swore. So everyone was planning to go and attend the funeral. The funeral. So here, this means that after someone is dying is where now people try to gather around and try to mourn the dying people. But here tries to answer the questions which asked that no money, whatever. Was it so crucial, their presence? So their presence is crucial only for the what? For the burial ceremony, but it is not crucial for taking care of the sick people at the hospital or in the hospital. Also, let me continue. The mourners shrieked out cries as they arrived in the busy compound of the dead. Memories of loved ones no more stimulated tears of many. They cried dutiful tears for the deceased, now stretching their hands all over to help. The daughters looked at them with dry eyes, quiet, blank. The mourners pinched each other, shocked by the stony heartedness of the orphaned. She sat watching the tears soak their garments, or in the soil around them wasted. That night she went to her love in the fresh-made emergency grassy hut, and let loose all ties of the conventional dress she wore, submitting to the great power. She whispered, "Now you and I must know now. Tomorrow you might never understand, unable to lick my tears." And there was light in the darkness of the hut. While outside, the mourners cried louder than the orphan. So here now we are introduced how now the orphan, I mean the daughter, who was taking care of her mother, now her mother is died. She tried to get out from the mourning ground to her lover, so as to be consoled. So here we see how this poem, of course, is relevant to our contemporary society. So let me now try to analyze this poem. Of course, this poem, as I have said, is made up of 11 stanzas, and the first stanza is made up of 5 verses, the second 4 verses, the third 12 verses, and the fourth is made up of 6, the fifth is made up of 5 verses, and the sixth stanza is made up of 4 verses, seventh stanza is made up of 7 verses, and eighth stanza is made up of 2 verses. Likewise, ninth stanza is made up of 4 verses, and 10th stanza is made up of 4 verses, and 11th stanza is made up of 5 verses. So this poem here talks about a woman who was sick and who was hospitalized for 5 months, but without help from other neighbors. Rather, we see that now she is taken her at the hospital by only daughter, and who was uneducated. The daughter was uneducated. We see that there were 2 born in that family of that sick mother, but the boy was sent to school, and we see that he is busy with the government activities. And at the end of the day, we see this girl who is uneducated now is the one who is taking care of her dying mother. So here this poem talks about this mother who is sick and hospitalized, and there is no care from other relatives. Of course, the title is The Smiling Orphan, and the Smiling Orphan here, of course, talks about an educated girl who takes care of her mother at the hospital, try to pray to God, but without any help from the other relatives and ndugus. I think you understand. Also here, this poem, as I have said, it was composed by a woman known as Grace Bilabwa Isharaza, and she is a teacher, of course, born in Uganda. There are so many themes we get in this poem. The first theme is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is seen in the 4th stanza. In the 4th stanza, when the persona says that as she was dying, friends and kinsmen talked of her, how good, how helpful, a very practical woman. But here, none reached her. They were too busy. There was no money. So here, the people were busy when she was sent to hospital, but they come to mourn her after hearing that now she is dead. So, and after hearing that she is dead, now they tried to talk much on how helpful that woman was. That is what we call hypocrisy. you pretend to be good, but in fact you are not. So here they are pretending to talk about someone's life after the death, but no any help was, of course, seemed when she was sick. That's why we say that there is hypocrisy. Not only hypocrisy, but also there is illiteracy. In the third stanza, when the persona says that her only daughter, uneducated, sat by her crying, praying, waiting for an answer from God far above. So here they are just expecting help from God without using help from other friends, maybe to pay for her treatment, etc., etc. Rather, treatment is only done by those who are in the hospital. No people to console her, no one to care for her. So this is illiteracy is seemed on the one who was taking care of her mother. The girl who was taking care of her mother was in illiteracy. Also here there is, we can comment also another theme here which we can get here is love affairs. Love affairs is seemed on the girl and her lover when she used two symbols